Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're the hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every day, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can view all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues that affect you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Committee on November 26, 2024 at 6:03 p.m. First item of business is the approval of minutes. I'll need a motion on the draft minutes of November 12, 2024 Finance meeting.
I move approval.
Motion approved by Alder Wheeler. Comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item, 3, public appearances for non-agenda items. We have nobody in chambers nor online. So we can move on to item 3, Finance Director Report, including our Treasurer's Report from as of October 31st, 2024. Ms. D.
Thank you. So I'll start with that Treasurer's Report. It's included in the packet. The one big thing is we did have a investment mature at WISC, and we reinvested that again with WISC. So you'll see that there. And then I'll pause if there's questions on the report. Okay, a couple other things. So audit preliminary fieldwork was today. I had the conference with them this afternoon. They said everything went well as expected, which is still always good to hear. And then working on tax bills. So the county has not opened the portal yet where I can submit information to them to actually calculate tax bills. But based on my calculations, I have what I expect tax bills to look like. So overall, I've shared a couple of the different jurisdictions already. So we have all of those numbers at this point. If you look at just that average home, their total tax bill increase will vary by school district. But in Madison, it's 3.9%, Oregon 6.2%, and Verona 2.4%. If we include the first dollar credit and the lottery credit in one single garbage charge, those numbers are a little bit different. One of the big things is the lottery credit. So this is where, as people play the lottery, a portion of that comes back for property tax relief. Last year's tax roll had pretty significant increases in that lottery credit. I think because of those billion-dollar lotteries that were available relatively recently, more people played. This year, those are all dropping $60 or so. So that'll make a pretty big difference in the average home tax bill. So if we include all those credits, the average tax bill for Madison would be an increase of 4.8, Oregon 6.9, and Verona 3.1. I'll just remind everybody that City of Fitchburg is just a small portion of that overall tax bill. So if you look at just our portion, we were 3.4%, but overall it'll be generally a little bit more than that. Tax bills are statutorily required to be mailed on the third Monday, which is the 16th. We are shooting for Friday the 13th as the date that we'll get ours mailed out. So still ahead of the deadline.
Great. So can you explain, I actually have never understood the lottery credit. It's based on you as an individual, or it's like average across all of the different properties?
So the lottery credit is only available to single-family primary residents. So if you own a property, you use it as your primary residence, you can qualify for the lottery credit. That dollar amount of the credit varies depending on school district. So it's not exactly the same for everybody, but it's in the general ballpark. So for 2024, the lottery credit ranges from $276 to $321, depending on which school district you're in. That's something we always like to remind people, especially with all of our new buildings that are happening. It is not something that goes on automatically because it has to be your primary residence. So we need people to certify to us that it is their primary residence. But once you submit that for the first year, it should stay on your bill going forward. But it's always good to just double check that you're getting that lottery credit if you qualify.
Yeah, $250 to $300 back.
Might as well take it.
Yep. Awesome.
Is there a well-publicized formula for how that lottery credit is calculated? I mean, you said it varies by school district, but is it all voodoo magic or?
So I get the number from the state. So my calculation is very easy. I plug in the number. How the state divvies it out, I couldn't tell you. I'm going to bet that they have it on their website somewhere, but not sure.
All right. Nothing further?
Nope, that's it.
Wonderful. We can move on to item 5, review of bills. 5A, review of P-card transactions for the cycle ending October 7, 2024, totaling $245,438.68. Comments or questions? We can move on to 5B, detailed review of P-card transactions for $10,000 and above for the cycle ending October 7th, 2024, totaling $113,994.52. Comments, questions? We can move on to 5C, detailed review of checks for $10,000 and above from November 1st to the 15th, 2024, totaling $540,166.50. Questions? Moving on to 5D, detailed review of all checks issued, checks 127737 to 127818 from November 1st to the 15th, 2024, totaling $677,633.81. Comments, questions? Nice and quick. We can move on to action items. Item 6A, Resolution R-15924, approving the purchase of 4 2025 Ford F-150 Lightning trucks.
I'll move approval.
Motion to approve by Alder Jetzer. We'll turn it over to our Public Works Director.
Thank you. The CIP included funds for the scheduled replacement of vehicles. Ewald Automotive Group provided a quote based on the Wisconsin state bid for the 2025 Ford F-150 Lightning EV truck. We're looking for council approval for the purchase of 4 2025 Ford F-150 Lightning trucks at a price of $45,993 per truck, for a total amount of $183,972. And we're looking also for authorization for Public Works to sell at auction 1 2011 GMC 2500, 1 2000 Chevy Silverado, 1 2012 Chevy Colorado, and 1 2003 Dodge Dakota.
Wonderful. Can you remind us which departments these trucks are for?
Yes, one is for streets, the other is for parks, and then we also have a utilities, and then actually I believe the fourth is also for streets. So 2 streets, 1 utilities, and 1 parks.
Wonderful. Another question from me. I know we've ordered a couple of these before. Have we actually received those vehicles, or are we still waiting on those?
We have 2 right now, 1 in our streets and 1 in our utilities. I believe we've had them over a year now, and the crews love them. We charge them about once a week, get a full charge for a week off of them, and those are 2023s, I believe.
That's fantastic.
And these 2025s are actually less than what we paid for the 2023s. So they've come down in price since then. Yeah.
What a new world. That's wonderful news. I'm so happy to hear that the crew's really enjoying them. Other questions, comments? Bill?
Tim, tell us about the charging for these, and do we need to upgrade any of our electric infrastructure in order to install the chargers in order to charge these trucks?
Yeah, so right now Ford has a promotion going on with the Lightnings where we'll get 4 free chargers with these. The 2 Lightnings that we currently have, We have 2 chargers at the Public Works facility for those. So these 4 chargers, we'd look to have them installed somewhere on the City Hall campus. Whether it's in the library garage, or police also has a garage that they utilize. We have yet to determine the exact location, but we've had a couple meetings internally to kind of coordinate with all the various departments on EVs and charging infrastructure within City Hall campus.
How long does it take to charge these things? They're like 100 kilowatt hour batteries, and so I'm just curious, is this like a multi-day process?
No, it's not a multi-day process. It doesn't even take the entire night, and I believe we can set on the charger on we can have it turn off if we want it only 90% charged and not charge the full 100%. So we sat in a couple meetings with Ford to kind of optimize, how much we want to charge these batteries so we get the useful life out of them.
Wonderful. Seeing no other questions, we can go ahead and take a vote. All in favor of Resolution R 15924, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks so much, Tim. Moving on to the next item, Resolution R 19124, approval to purchase Paratech Flying Raker Stabilization Kit.
I move approval.
Motion to approve by Alder Wheeler. I'll turn it over to our chief.
Good evening. Yes, the Paratech Flying Raker Stabilization Kit is a unique piece of equipment that we've never had before on the fire department. As we continue to build our tech rescue program and as we go on more responses, the last one is late as Friday last week when we had a gentleman drive into his home, got mixed up on the pedals and went right through the wall. This Flying Raker kit would definitely help out with the stabilization of that area. While we're providing aid to get in there, not only to support and keep the individual safe, but to keep our responders safe. We are asking the council for approval of the stabilization kit. It would be a sole source procurement through Air One Equipment. We provided a letter in the packet that states from Paratech that Air One is the regional supplier of Paratech equipment. And we also use Paratech equipment for our extrication equipment for any vehicle accidents. So the Flying Raker not only does stabilization for buildings, but we can also use it for larger vehicles, semis, cement trucks, and that are a little bit heavier. We can also then use this kit to keep the stabilization in place so that when building inspection or anybody else needs to arrive on scene to do a review of the building, we can keep that in place until that's completed. Now, if we do, this kit definitely goes up a lot faster. We do have other materials, wood, nails, and that take us much longer to provide that stabilization, but this Flying Raker kit would speed that process up greatly.
Thanks for the summary. Comments or questions?
How often, if you had this for a while, how often do you think you would use it? Is this like a once a year thing, or would it come in handy much more often than that?
Much more often. We're going to larger incidents with, like I said, gentlemen went right through the wall. So we had structural instability. We've had a couple where it hasn't been as bad, but they've hit pillars on the outside of buildings where it supports a balcony or an overhang, so that we can support that until we know that we get building inspection or an engineer there to say that, yep, you can take it down. It's stable enough until they get somebody from construction in there to repair it. It all depends. We're going on more tech rescue type of calls. So this, like I said, this piece of equipment will be very, very helpful in deploying that stabilization much faster.
And so this is just coming from small equipment budget out of the fire department? I noticed there was no, I know we had, I assume we didn't budget for this year, but it's just coming out of the equipment budget?
Yep. So it's actually coming out of the project, that's the refurb project of the utility project. Be the vehicle that we got approval to purchase through Wisconsin surplus, and then we rehab that vehicle. This equipment is going onto that vehicle because it'll be inventoried to that vehicle. That vehicle responds on these types of incidents.
Got it. Other questions, comments? All right, we can take it to a vote. All in favor of Resolution R19124, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Next item is 6C, Resolution R19224, approving purchase of replacement police department vehicle.
I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Alder Jetzer. And turn it over to our administrator.
Thank you. I'm going to pinch hit for the police department tonight on this particular item. They do have a 10-year-old fleet vehicle that they are looking to replace with the vehicle that's requested under this purchase authorization. That vehicle is scheduled to be replaced in next year's budget, although due to the ongoing length of delivery, time it takes to take delivery of vehicles, they're making the request now so that they can get that order placed prior to the end of the year. They are looking to purchase a Dodge Durango for this particular fleet vehicle. I do not believe that it is an EV. However, they do have an EV on order so that they will be able to begin determining how applicable the EV use will be for their department. Questions?
When you say fleet vehicle, you mean a squad? Or
So this vehicle would not be a patrol vehicle. It appears to be just what they consider a fleet vehicle, which would be available for administration, detectives, those sorts of uses, but not necessarily a patrol vehicle.
okay, so we shouldn't expect a follow-up to outfit this thing as a squad car, the patrol car.
So it may have a radio and some lights put in it, but nothing significant, at least to my recollection.
Great. Seeing no other questions, we can take it to a vote. All in favor of Resolution R19224, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item, 6D, Resolution R19424, authorizing acceptance of the ARPA street resurfacing bid.
I move approval.
Motion to approve by Alder Wheeler, and I will turn it back to our Public Works Director, Tim.
Thank you. The ARPA street resurfacing project is included in the 2024 ARPA TID closure investment plan, which was adopted on March 12, 2024 by R-16-24. The Phase 2 ARPA street resurfacing project consists of approximately 6,600 tons of hot mix asphalt pavement, 21,400 square yards of pulverizing pavement, 3,300 linear feet of concrete curb and gutter, and 700 square yards of landscape restoration, as well as other miscellaneous items of work. All work for this project takes place within the Belmar Renaissance on the Park neighborhood, which is a qualified census tract and a City of Fitchburg Healthy Neighborhoods initiative. Public Works Department has prepared construction plans and specifications and obtained competitive bids. On November 1st, 2024 at 11 a.m., 3 sealed bids received were publicly opened with results listed on the attached bid tab. Payne and Dolan low bid of $988,469.25 was found to be in compliance with the bid specifications. There is an available balance within the ARPA street resurfacing budget of $688,261. There is available funding in the amount of $199,055.25 within the street resurfacing budget, water budget, sewer budget, and also the stormwater budget. And then based on the current status of the projects funded by ARPA, it is expected there will be approximately $200,000 of grant and interest earnings available for additional projects. So we're looking for approval of the award of the Phase 2 ARPA street resurfacing project to Payne and Dolan in the amount of $1,087,316.25. That includes a 10% contingency. And then we're also looking for council to amend the 2024 ARPA fund budget to redirect the $200,000 to transfer that to the general fund. And then looking to amend the 2024 general fund budget to remove the $200,000 of administrative costs. And then looking to amend the 2024 capital projects fund budget to reflect a $200,000 transfer in from the ARPA fund.
And if I can tack on just a little bit. So
Yes,
Tim
please.
did already talk about this, but I just want to reiterate. So the intention here is that all of the available ARPA money that we have at the end of this, including all interest earned on the ARPA money over the life of the time that we've had the funds, we'd like to apply it to this project first. Then whatever money is still needed to complete the rest of the project, that's what we would spend our streets, our normal streets money on. But you'll see there's an extra clause in this resolution that's basically directing me to apply all of the available ARPA and related funds to this project at the end. I don't know what that amount's going to be because we'll continue to earn interest on it throughout the next 6 months or whatever while all this money goes out the door. So looking for a little bit of flexibility, but you are directing me to do that.
That's really helpful. Is this one of the last ARPA projects then that we have on the docket?
Yeah, so there's a couple that are kind of in process. So like they've been authorized, but they're not complete yet. I think this might be the last one that needs approval still. I'd have to verify, but I think that's true.
Great. It's great that we can get some more street resurfacing done, catch up, and then I know you, Tim, and Ross have talked about that program to maintain our streets at a higher level to make these investments last longer before we have to resurface in the future. So doing a good job, doing a lot of resurfacing and setting our city up for success streetwise and then financially as well. So I'm really happy to see that progress. So kudos to your team. Any other comments or questions on this? Bill?
Okay, so just to clarify, there's roughly $200,000 and we will exhaust all the available ARPA funds on this project, and it's going to be about that much, plus or minus.
Yep, my guess is that's a little high, but I could be wrong. So it'll be in that ballpark for sure. This will be that project of which we apply every remaining ARPA and related dollar.
What do we anticipate the timeline on this to be?
So we'd look to start the work in spring 2025 and then have it wrapped up by summer or midsummer.
Got it. Other comments, questions? Seeing none, we can take it to a vote. All in favor of resolution R19424, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Tim. Next will be resolution R19724, a resolution authorizing the purchase of a 2025 Chrysler Pacifica hybrid select vehicle from Ewald Automotive Group.
I move approval.
Motion to approve by Alder Jetzer. And who's going to be covering this one?
I've got this one.
Jen?
So a couple of months ago, you approved the purchase of 3 EVs. As we talked about briefly earlier, one of those will be going to building inspection, one will be going to the police department, and one will be going to assessing. And we also had some funding available that was identified for this project to add one more vehicle. And what we would like to add is a Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid minivan. This vehicle would not be assigned to any one particular department, but would be available as a pool vehicle for multiple departments to be able to utilize for whatever their operational needs may be on a kind of a reservation type basis. So this is a good option, we thought. It adds some flexibility to the fleet in so much as having a bit more cargo capacity for things like, elections, for instance, and moving some things around. and then also strikes a balance between a full EV and a internal combustible engine or gas-powered vehicle, so that if somebody is going to training in this vehicle that might be several hours away, they have a little bit of flexibility in how they power that vehicle. So particularly if there isn't charging infrastructure on the route or at the hotel or conference center or whatever it might be.
Thanks for that context. It's helpful to know because owning an electric vehicle myself, I know winters and dead of winter in Wisconsin can be complicated if you don't plan properly. So I think having hybrids on the fleet probably makes sense, at least until we have a more extensive EV infrastructure in our country. Other questions, comments from the committee? Bill?
Is this replacing a vehicle, or are we just adding one because we need the additional capacity?
Yeah, this is adding a vehicle. I think we can kind of revisit a little bit of history on this. We had intended to outfit most of our departments with police vehicles that were retiring, and I'm not sure who the police chief was that recommended that plan, but that plan hasn't really worked out appropriately. As the thought, the idea I think was sound, but the execution has not come to fruition. So those vehicles have had significant maintenance issues. We did take one on earlier this year that our assessing department is using. Actually, I think we took two on earlier this year that our assessing department is utilizing. One of them is not in great shape, so that one is going to be retired when the EV arrives for the assessing department, and they'll continue to use the other one. That was probably the best of the bunch that we are going to keep in service. So these four vehicles that I've talked about are all really new fleet adds across multiple departments that had intended to be police or retired police vehicles that just haven't worked out.
I'd like to also add, if I may, there is a budget amendment associated with this one too. So this is actually the last ARPA funded project. This particular vehicle, the ARPA money is available, but there was an additional $40,000 available for EV charging to be used using ARPA funds. But ARPA funds have to be obligated by the end of the year, and we don't really have the time before the end of the year to get all that figured out. So there's a budget amendment in here to replace that with TID closure funding so we can still continue with the project. And then that ARPA funding that was freed up is part of what makes that $200,000 we just approved too.
Great. And this will be purchased this year then? Or just to be obligated by this year?
The vehicle will be.
Okay,
yes.
the vehicle will be purchased this year.
Yeah, we'll order tomorrow with the vehicle, and at least that way that'll be obligated per ARPA requirements. The funding would be obligated.
Exciting.
And I'll try to track down that police chief that had the original idea.
This is a good agenda, man. You're making me happy. It's Christmas. Early Christmas. Wonderful.
Well, I like the fact that the vehicles are coming down in price.
Right?
You know, I mean, $44,000 for an electric Lightning. I mean, I wish I could get one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting too. You mentioned winter, and we have had those F-150 Lightnings they made it through a winter. I wonder if Tim can tell us whether there were any reliability issues.
Yeah, we didn't have any issues. We did see the charging obviously didn't last as long, but it didn't impact our operations at all when we had that cold snap back in January for the couple weeks there.
Yeah. From personal experience, that's usually the local travel is always fine. Mm-hmm. It's the long travel that's the scary stuff. When your battery power drops and you have a long distance to go. But yeah, that's why EV vehicles are great choices, I think, for local government, because most of our vehicle use is within 30 miles. You know, it's all going to be really close to home. So it's great. Good news. Love it. We can go ahead and take a vote. All in favor of resolution R19724, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Tim. Oh, I guess we got one more for you. Next resolution is R224, authorizing budget amendment for additional funding of yard waste grinding services.
I move approval. Excuse me.
Motion to approve by Alder Wheeler. And Tim, throw it back to you.
Thank you. The city of Fitchburg contracts out yard waste grinding services to process yard waste that has been dropped off at the city of Fitchburg recycling facility. City had previously authorized $17,100 at a rate of $450 per hour for yard waste grinding in 2024. City has seen an increase in dropped off yard waste in recent years, particularly in 2024 as a result of spring storm damage, requiring an estimated 22 additional hours or $9,900 worth of grinding in 2024. The interest on investments account has a surplus of approximately $44,000 due to continued high interest rates earned on cash balances within the fund. We're looking to amend the 2024 refuge and recycling budget to include $9,900 for yard waste grinding funded with additional interest earnings. And then looking to also get authorization for an increase to PO 3444 with Urban Forest Services LLC in the amount of $9,900.
Wonderful. Questions, comments from the committee? Bill?
Yeah, this is almost 10,000 on top of 17. That's a pretty big chunk. Is this, do we have data going back several years? Is this like unusual, or does this just happen from time to time, like you said, because of the storms?
I think it's a couple. The storm damage in spring and kind of early summer, but also, you know, the trees are getting bigger. They don't grow smaller, so a lot of that has to do with growth also. For 2025's budget, we did increase it to account for this. So next year, hopefully, we won't be having to do another change order.
All right. Seeing no other questions, we can go ahead and take a vote. All in favor of Resolution R 224, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Tim. Next is announcements. Our next finance meeting will be December 10th, 2024, and that will be our last finance meeting of the year. Any other announcements? I will take a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Moved by Alder Wheeler. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned at 6:34 p.m. Thanks.